How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffled Rowlet, and welcome to Poke Forward. Today we're looking at some Pokemon leaks, rumors, stuff like that. Let's take a look at the first one. This was posted by Poorleak saying doesn't mean much at all, but the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet playlist has an unlisted video uploaded on the Japanese Nintendo YouTube channel. This was posted on the 1st of February. We're on the 3rd, as of me recording this one, the 3rd of February, so that is a bit strange. Usually when that happens, that means something is coming, or there is something happening, or whatever. Usually it is an indication of something. Sometimes it could be nothing though, it could be a trailer of, stuff we've already seen, or it could be the DLC trailer. It could be either one of those things. So it could be anything. Please keep that in mind. But that's what I thought we would start with. So that's the first point. Next, we're going to go into some discussions about some other stuff. We've got a lot of things. We've got some Soul Silver posts, and we've got some light posts here as well. So we're going to start with the light posts first. Who were posted by Light. Light is also a leak analyzer and a theorizer when it comes to Pokemon, and he posted 3 tweets that I think are interesting here, and we have some other ones we're gonna cover later on. But yeah, it is not a lot, guys, but the 3rd legendary probably stands in 4 or 2 and walks. In Clavel's office, you can see some photos and a trophy of footprints, and it seems the same as the hands of the 3rd legendary. Is Clavel trying to find it? You can see there's like a claw-looking thing. And if you look right here, you have the same kind of thing as well. Kind of same shape with everything. Some people are saying though that it is a Cyclizar footprint, so it is what it is with that. Next interesting thing though is that he did look into the background, behind the walls inside of the UVA and the UVA and I forget the other name of the academy, Naranja. There we go. But basically, he noticed that some of the floors here, the tiles, have specifically kind of almost, I guess if you look at them from a certain perspective, an hexagonal type shape. I mean, they are just, squares more or less, with triangles inside them, but they do end up kind of forming, almost like something along those lines. But yeah, the shape is different that you see on the outside here, which is intriguing. And yeah, again, it's kind of the part that bleeds into the great creator of Paldea. And he says here, pre-DLC lol, curiously the school is in the same area of the Area Zero. Context, this is a secret room. Just check if there is a floor with this shape, and in all of the school is the only floor. Let me know if I'm wrong, but did they do it on purpose or part of the DLC? So yeah, this type of flooring right there, which yes, I know it's a small thing to you guys maybe, but sometimes these things can mean something to them, when they were making it. But yeah, again, strange that that's the only area that has that kind of floor in all of the schools. So you did the research and look through to make sure that's the case. But the biggest one we're going to talk about is this right here, which pretty much is a confirmation of the typings, most likely, of, the Paradox Suicune and Paradox Virizion. If you don't know what I'm talking about, basically, there is going to be a return of those Pokemon in these games with the DLC, as they've already been leaked, from files and images and stuff like that. So, if Koraidon Miraidon activates Drought and Electric Terrain when they enter battle, Paradox Suicune and Virizion will counter them with Drizzle and Psychic/Grass Terrain. So maybe they will be slower than 135 in speed in order to do this. He says, but there is something about the supposed type of Suicune that does not fit for me. If it's going to be fire according to the leaked attack Hydro Steam, then fire moves will be decreased the power by 50% in Drizzle. But what if this move represents the same process as Steam Turbines? And then of course, here is the original thingy, which confirmed that Hydro Steam is a brand new move, and Psyblade are also selectable moves in the game that will be available. It says, can confirm amount Hydro Steam 1117 and Psyblade 1135 are selectable moves. Well, he says the following: making electricity from steam is generally a 3-step process where water is converted with heat to high-pressure steam. Then high-pressure steam is converted to mechanical rotation of a turbine shaft, and the rotating turbine shaft drives an electrical generator, which is how electricity is made, right? This is kind of similar process that goes down in really, all kinds of electrical production, I would say. I mean, even like in terms of, I guess, in terms of a nuclear reactor, it's the same principle, except you're splitting atoms to create a nuclear reaction that, that exerts the energy to heat things, or heats the water, in that case, to produce, again, the same sort of result. And so then he says, the following, which is, did you realize those 3 steps they need to generate electricity with a steam turbine are water plus fire equals electricity, which is the same types as Suicune, Entei, or Raikou. So probably this is the explanation to be the finally water electric type. Or maybe it'll be water fire with Drizzle and Koraidon helping him in order to change the weather in double battles. At last, this theory could be a solid explanation, but this we'll see in the next month. Are you hyped? And then some people talked about some theories here. If Paradox version is going to be psychic, or at least have a psychic signature move, could it be that it is the counter to Koraidon? Which, yes, could be the case. So yeah, again, just some small stuff I thought would be worthwhile to mention to you guys. Some really cool theories from Light. Shout out to him, check him out. He has a Discord, you guys can go check that out too. And yeah, check out his Twitch as well. But let's go over down to the next thing, which is from Soul Silver Art. Our usual guy, if you don't know Soul Silver, he is a leak analyst, so to say, a theorizer. And he basically has a bit of a breakdown theory here on a video that was made by Birdkeeper Toby, which I would recommend to check out. It is a theory about, you know, well, all things to do with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and the brand new Paradox Pokemon, what they are. And one of the things he brings up is the idea of, I guess, Gold and Silver being in the future for us as games, which I have been saying already since, like, these games were, even before they were announced. I was already, even before Scarlet and Violet were announced, I was saying we're gonna get Gold and Silver next. Like, after this, after the DLC, we're getting Gold and Silver next year. I don't know what kind of Gold and Silver. I don't know if it's going to be a Crystal remake, it's going to be Let's Go Johto, or Legends Johto, or whatever else they come up with. It can be anything, but Johto is coming back. I am certain of it. Okay, Johto, it's happening. There is no question about that in my mind. I think it's going to happen. I'm certain of it, and I'm pretty sure we should get excited. So, what are we talking about? Well, super video in theory. What stood out to me is the connection to Gen 2, the unknown dimension, the unknown 1,000 arms of Arceus, and Unknown's connection to Suicune. Wait, watch for more. Yes, I would recommend watch that video. But I think this Gen 9 to Gen 2 connection further suggests a Gen 2 game coming in the near future. He says the following: I've long suspected this connection. When you look at the Gen 2 Pokemon that have gotten evolutions or attention recently, and the Uva and Naranja Academies being Gold and Silver, yes, on their patches. I mentioned this in the first time they showed us the trailer of Scarlet and Violet with the actual characters. I straight away mentioned, I straight away pointed it out. You can go and check my breakdown video from a long time ago on my Ruffle Rowlet channel. You guys can go check that out. I specifically pointed this out. I said, wait a minute. Gold patch on one academy, silver patch on the other academy. Why are they gold and silver? This is clearly a hint. And you might be thinking, well, that's not a hint. They just colored them that way, blah, 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 whatever. No, stop, okay? They do this all the time. People need to, like, start accepting the fact that Pokemon, Game Freak, the Nintendo, not Nintendo, but Game Freak, they love to hint at the next games in their current games. They do this all the time. They did this back in the day for all the games, and they kept doing it. They even did this, they even hinted this, like the typings, for example, of the Scarlet and Violet starters. The typings of the starters were directly, okay, 100% directly hinted, guess where? In Pokemon Legends Arceus. The Hisuian starters, their brand new evolutions, have a correlating typing to the starters in Paldea. For example, you have the fighting typing given, right, to, I think, Decidueye's form. That is the fighting typing that's then given to Quaquaval, right? You have a dark typing on Meowscarada, which correlates to Samurot's dark typing, and the obvious one, Typhlosion's ghost typing, correlates to, of course, forget its name, but Fuecoco's final evolutions, you know, ghost typing as well. So it's definitely connected. By the way, I've long suspected this connection when you look at all the Gen 2 stuff. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but I love this theory and I like connecting them all. And then there is a post here that he made in October of last year, which we can look into that right after this. But he says also that the crystal part of Area Zero that's unreachable in this theory. In a previous tweet, I mentioned that if you flip the art of the third legendary, you can see it's encircled by all these same shaped crystals, as if when you reach there, you can look down further into this pit. Which, yes, it kind of does look like that. But again, we continue on. The only thing I'm not keen on is AZ and Kalos creating the Great Crater of Paldea, since we know it's based on Atlantis. But who knows? It could be both and. Either way, I cannot help but recommend you watch this video, which I definitely recommend as well. Do check it out. And here's his old theory that he made. He said, spoilers, it's finally time for me to put this, post this DLC theory breakdown I've had. Much of it has already been discussed by many big names, but not this detail. When Terrastal was first introduced, this was all I could see. Doesn't the Terrastal symbol remind you of something? It does. It looks just like Suicune's head, which is interesting because I noticed that too, but I never really talked about it much because I just was focused on the stuff at that moment. He says, I have two bomb theories coming. So we know there will be Paradox based on Suicune, almost definitely solely in the DLC. So even back in October, we already knew this. What could this mean? The way I see it is, one, lore-wise, Suicune was directly related to the cause of Terrastal and or Paradoxes. Maybe it was the first Paradox. Don't really know about that. I mean, who knows? It's just, or two, it's pure coincidence. Or two, maybe on the development side of things, Suicune and Pokemon Crystal version specifically is where the inspiration for Terrastal came from, and maybe this is just an homage to that game. This last point ties into so much more, mainly being that this is a hint for more Johto. And he says, based on the content, because I believe that it's even possible that something Johto related could happen in the DLC, that's just one option. What makes more sense is that another Johto remake will be coming soon. BKT explains my thoughts here. You can check that out too if you guys want to. They have been hinting at Johto non-stop since Sword and Shield came out. The newest and biggest thing being the sheer amount of Johto receiving attention in PLA and now in Scarlet and Violet. There are a lot. Masuda himself recently took a business trip to the Johto region, the literal location which Johto is based on. There was a special presentation for the new Chinese TCG. Guess what was in the background again? This ties heavily into the tweet I have planned for later this week. Let's Go Johto is definitely still a big possibility, but I bet on them doing something completely new based in Johto, which is what I think as well. And then again, we have the patches. I again mentioned these a long time ago, and here's specifically, you know, it was, if you thought the Johto hints were gone, you thought wrong. Gold and Silver, I don't know what this means, but I believe Gen 9 will have a big Gen 2 connections, or at least big hints to something coming. I do believe these shields are two faction schools in this world. Let's see how it develops. Well, we know now what they exactly are. And Captain Kamado most likely originates from the Johto region. At one point in the game, he drops all formalities in speech and uses Kansai dialect / Ben, which originates from Kansai, or in the Pokemon world, Johto. Additionally, as for his armor, rather than pure European style, which, yeah, is true. Then, so much heavy Johto presence. This was a long time ago, in 2021, I think, back then, where we had a bunch of, like, Johto Pokemon in there, which is weird, because they were talking about Sword and Shield at the time, and it just seemed so out of place, and people just thought, Johto. I mean, I remember me and Sylph Spectre were speculating about this on stream, and we were going crazy. It was a crazy time. But he says the following, though, which is, here. Back to Paradoxes, I noticed that at first that Suicune and Virizion also make the letters SV, which, wow, that is actually true. So what about Virizion? Well, I'm sure it will have an equal part to play in the DLC, but I believe that it's also a hint that Gen 5 remakes could be on the way soon too. I don't think so. I don't think Gen 5 remake is going to happen this generation, unless they decide to do it this generation so they don't have to worry about it for next gen. Because remember, the next generation of Pokemon is most likely going to be on the next console, okay? The next gen of Pokemon is going to be most likely on the next console, so it's a little bit complicated, to be honest, at this point. But either way, we are going to also check out what Jordan said there. But he says, I believe also it's a hint for Gen 4, but what I'm not sure is which will come first. I think obviously Johto. Obviously Johto is going to come first. It's pretty evident. Sure, which one will come first? I see this as saying past Paradox Suicune equals past Johto game, and future Paradox Virizion equals future Gen 5 game, as in there will be a Legends Johto game next and a Gen 5 remake coming in the future. However, this could be very wrong, and maybe the opposite will happen. There are many different ways it could go, but I'm a firm believer that Gen 5 remakes and Gen 9 are fully possible. If you saw, I don't really know about that. If you saw the Scarlet and Violet decks, you will realize that many Gen 5 Pokemon were left out, clear sign that they are saving them for the next game. Maybe it's a Legends game, Legends Unova to come after simple Johto remake. What many don't understand is the Pokemon Company Incorporated want to make one game per year going forward. It looks likely that Gen 9 to Generation 10 will have a 4-year gap instead of 3 due to the 30th anniversary in 2026. So Gen 5 remakes are very possible in the end. I'm not sure. Future Gen 5 remakes could still very well be in Gen 10 instead, but these two Pokemon seem to have been chosen for very specific reasons. And then again, there you go. Just going to quickly leave a like on all this. And what Jordan was saying here is, all right, I wondered why they would pick this odd pair for Paradox Pokemon, but I've realized that the reason is actually fairly obvious. I spent way too much text, but I enjoy the TCG artwork. And this is cool artwork. He says, seems that using Scarlet and Violet's logos didn't make it as obvious as they thought. Scarlet and Violet, Suicune and Virizion. They start with the same letter, which, yes, is true. Kind of an interesting little point. But yeah, so again, what do you guys think about this? Do you think Johto remakes next year? I am 100% certain of that. I'm betting money on that, okay? I'm betting on it. I'm betting on it that next year is going to be Johto remake. I mean, not Johto remakes, but something Johto, a Johto game in one way, shape, or form. I don't think Gen 5, the only way Gen 5 would happen is if they decided like, oh, hey, we don't want it to coincide with the 10th generation because that's going to be on another console and we don't really want to do a remake on that console, which would be really dumb for them to do. But also, who says that this isn't a hint for years ahead, okay? This is literally could also be a hint. We're doing Unova remakes, just not now. We're doing them later. That's what this could be hinting. Or, as he mentioned, this could be a hint for like a Legends Unova game, like a Unova game before we get the proper remake in Generation 10. You never know. Again, it's a lot of possibilities, but again, I want to hear what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen.